The political correspondent Mark Simkin joins me now from Canberra. So, Mark, the election result is still far from decided. What's the mood there in Canberra?
Oh, I think the mood rises equal parts exhaustion, equal parts confusion. When will it end? Well, it ain't over yet, and there's no end in sight, which makes it an intriguing story, of course. But when we talk about confusion, I mean, there are a myriad of ways this could play out. There are still key seats to be decided. Last time I looked at the count in Hasluck in WA, for example, it's about 360 votes in it. Incredibly tight with the pre-voting, the early voting and the postal voting to come. The ABC computer has given the Tasmanian seat of Denison to the independent candidate, but the ALP is confident it could still maybe pull out a last-minute win there. Whatever happens, though, it seems almost certain we will have a hung parliament, which is where those independents do come into play. But even then, it becomes incredibly confusing. They're not going to vote as a bloc necessarily, and they've got very different views on key issues. Just think about an ETS. Now, the government wasn't able to get an ETS through the last parliament. How's it going to go this time, whichever, if Labor indeed is, Julia Gillard is the Prime Minister, how's she going to go negotiating with National Party or former National Party MPs in the House of Reps and then the Greens in the more dominant spot in the Senate? It really is going to be an acute juggling, extreme juggling from here on in.
Susan McDonald touched on this in her report, Mark. There have been a few rumblings from the Labor side about the ALP campaign. What are you hearing?
Certainly, we heard the former New South Wales Premier having a go at Carl Batar and Mark Arbib, and that does reflect some unhappiness in the party. It also reflects some personal experience. Maurice Yemmer, of course, feels that he was stabbed in the back by those men, and so there's a bit of personal politics there. But there is certainly an agreement that some of the the second week of the campaign, most people in Labor would concede is arguably the worst week of campaigning in the history of Australian politics, is what some are saying. So there is some unhappiness there, and there's also, of course, unhappiness about the rolling of Kevin Rudd, although I think the majority view is that even though it was an issue in the election, it was something that still needed to be done. It meant that there was a wave of dissatisfaction rather than a tsunami, but perhaps an agreement that it should have been handled differently.
And briefly, Mark, how's the coalition facing the week ahead?
Tony Abbott's expected to get to Canberra today, all roads leading to Canberra at the moment. He will be continuing his pitch to those independents. And I think the key thing to watch with Tony Abbott is what's he willing to offer, particularly on an issue like broadband that is so important to rural constituencies.
Mark, thank you.
Thank you.